This is the Fantasy Football Game Plan, where we talk about fantasy football and the NFL.
All right. So, the secret to winning in the NFL is start your backup quarterback.
I guess so. I was confused with who was playing quarterback for the Saints when I turned in. I was like, who is this guy? And I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. And then finally I had to Google his number and then realized, oh, something must have happened. But yeah, that's it's been a crazy week, that's for sure, in the NFL. A lot of injuries. Like I said at the beginning, a lot of torn ACLs. It's going to ruin your fantasy league, no matter what position you play or how you do it.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what the definition of a horse collar is, because in Winston's case, the guy clearly pulled him down from the back letter of his last name and his shoulder, and they called that a horse collar.
I didn't agree with the call. I don't think it was a horse collar. A horse collar is when you grab the back plate of the shoulder pads and you yank downwards.
Yeah.
So, White launched himself and he grabbed whatever part of the guy's jersey he could get. He got a piece of the back of his shirt, and he was flying through the air, and he yanked him that way, and the knee went that way. And it's unfortunate, but it wasn't a dirty play. It's just part of the game, unfortunately.
And the reason why I say this, and I always bring it back to Detroit if I can, is that in the first quarter, Jared Goff got sacked. And when he was getting sacked, the guy clearly grabbed the back of the O and the F and pulled him down. And it was just fourth down, and they had to punt. And then Winston's running on a sweep as a running back. And he just gets grabbed, pulled, and then all of a sudden, all these. So once again, the NFL is not calling the games the same way, and it's always throughout the league. Like, they never call this game the same way all the time.
No, the referees were killing me yesterday. Just hard to watch some of the calls.
It's too bad we can't pick them for our fantasy.
Yeah, my fantasy would be to have better referees. But I have good news for you about the Detroit Lions.
Okay, give me some good news. I haven't listened to the NFL today.
They don't play next week.
Oh, right.
Why?
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. I can do something with my wife and kids now.
So the Lions are on a bye, and the Seahawks are on a bye. So are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington football team.
It's a big week. It's a big week for me for buys this week in my league. But I think I prepared myself going into week 9.
Well, you're better off than I am, because I did not. I've been betting on Trey Lance to take over the starting quarterback job in San Francisco, and that was a losing bet, and it's going to haunt me this week.
Yeah, because Jimmy G gets 2 rushing touchdowns.
Right. And throws for over 300 yards. So I've got to go to the waiver wire. I was looking at quarterbacks. I need one. I'm seeing 4 possibilities that interest me. First one, Mike White, one of those backup quarterbacks.
Jets.
I mean, we were making fun of the Jets last week, but we had never seen the Jets with their backup quarterback. So He went crazy, threw for over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, and they beat the Bengals, who were supposed to be great. And their defense we recommended as being a great one. And apparently the Bengals just are not sustainable.
They took a week off.
They sure did.
They took a week off. That's what they did.
Yeah. So another guy that I was looking at is Davis Mills, the quarterback for the Houston Texans. So he had over 300 yards. He had 310 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he did throw a couple picks, but that kind of production I could use this week because Brady's on the bye. I'm going to look at Jimmy Garoppolo because I've been hanging on to Trey Lance and he's not the starter. So I will take a look at Garoppolo. And then the other guy we talk about sometimes, when we're joking around about Taysom Hill. but he's going to be the Saints starter, I think.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't know what that looks like, and I don't think that means a lot of good things for the receivers on New Orleans. But it's probably
Ingram's back, so it doesn't matter.
right. Ingram and Kamara. That's going to be the show.
Because now it's Ingram, Kamara, and Hill playing a wildcat.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, we always say in fantasy, it's great to have a quarterback that gets points with his legs, right? So, I mean, I'm going to need to find someone off the waiver wire. It's most likely going to be one of those four guys.
Well, I would think that Jimmy G is one of the better guys to go for on that list. But if you wanted to gamble, it is your own money.
Well, the thing about Jimmy G that makes me nervous is that they are playing Arizona, coming off a bye and a loss. So they're going to be raring to go. But I liked that Davis Mills is playing the Dolphins. So I kind of like that matchup better.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in first place in my league, so I'm the last waiver pick. So I may have to just settle for whoever I can get out of all these guys.
Yeah, but unless people are out there to get you, there might be somebody around, and I'm sure you just have to wait till the day is over, which I believe is Wednesday for you, to see who's left, and then you pick them up for $1 and just run with it, right? If you could pick up your receiver, so whoever your two receivers are, and pick up that quarterback, then you can do that point multiplier that we've always talked about strategy.
Yeah, the stack.
I don't know though if it's like worth to have, and this is going off topic here, but having two receivers and the quarterback on your starting roster because they kind of steal points away from each other. So definitely having one quarterback and one wide receiver. I'm really not sure if the strategy also goes for a second wide receiver and then like a tight end. So like I would really only do point multipliers or stacking with either one wide receiver and one tight end, not really do like multiple of that. I look at people in my league that have like Josh Allen, Cole Beasley, and Stephon Diggs, and they're all getting touches and touchdowns, right? Or the other guy that picked all Kansas City, but I don't know if really that's the best way to go. But it's up to you, however you want to do your bench.
Yeah, well, I can't throw away guys that I want to keep, so that strategy would sort of not work for me because I just have to get through this bye week and then I'm laughing. But I do actually employ that strategy because I have the Buccaneers and I usually get Brady as my quarterback. So in the past, I've had Gronk and Wes Welker, or Gronk and Edelman, and it's paid off pretty good. This year, I have Antonio Brown from the Buccaneers, and I have Chris Godwin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been great. Especially, this week, Gronk was hurt. Brown was out. So Godwin got a lot of work, Godwin and Evans. But even when they're all there, I find that it's still, I'm doing quite well in my league. So it's not a bad strategy if you're playing, if we're talking about a team that throws the ball all the time. Brady's not running around, right? Mm-hmm. He's throwing probably averages 3 or 4 touchdowns a week. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 2, but 3 or 4 a week. So a lot of times I'm getting the double from 2 different players.
Yeah, good luck next week. If you can get a high-producing quarterback, if anyone is on the waiver wire, those 4 guys you mentioned, keep going.
Okay, so big injury news. Derrick Henry breaks a bone in his foot. He's having surgery tomorrow. He'll be out for like 2 months. Basically, fantasy will be over by the time he comes back. So his backup is Jeremy Nichols, but he's not the same kind of player. He's more of a pass-catching back. I know that there's been talk that they're going to bring in Adrian Peterson and try and teach him the playbook and start him right away. But in the meantime, I'd rather have Nichols because he's, raring to go, and he's been okay this year.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a different offense come through, with the tight end. So if you have Brown or Julio, the running back nickels, or if you want to stretch and get AP, maybe just wait to start them till week 10 to figure out what's going on and how they're running their offense. They're definitely hitting the books right now and going through their playbook.
Yeah, it's definitely a sort of a wait and see thing for now, especially with AP. So, I mean, nickels would be, I think you might be right that they'll play a bit differently. I think that Tannehill will throw a little bit more, and he might throw to the running back nickels.
And he also runs. That little Tannehill guy can run.
Yeah, you're right about that. So it's not my favorite team, but the Jacksonville Jaguars had an injury to their running back, James Robinson, and Carlos Hyde's the backup, and he got a lot of work.
Yep, and he's a good guy, so pick him up. He's an old man, but he can run.
Okay.
And run a lot.
Okay, another guy who's been on our list a couple times from the New York Jets is Ty Johnson. And he scored again this week. He had 5 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. I'm not saying he's the greatest running back in the world, but he's pretty consistent. So I'm thinking that he would be a good pickup this week. Do you agree?
Yeah.
I went ahead and got Samaje Perine this week.
Okay.
Because I thought that everybody would try to get him next week when, there are all these buys that are happening. So I was very proactive. I went out and got Perine. I didn't start him. I put him on my bench and he got 0. But it's a good running back for a good team. And there's only one guy, Joe Mixon, ahead of him. And they give the ball to the running back a lot on that team, both throwing and catching. So I put him on the list. I'm saying last week was an anomaly, a strange happenstance where the Jets beat Cincinnati. And I still think Perine's not a bad pickup, at least to stash.
There's also, like you said, like going into bye weeks, a couple people coming off bye weeks that we didn't really, that we could also mention too, would be the Raiders Barber and also the Ravens Freeman.
Okay, and then another guy would be Latavius Murray because he got hurt, so somebody might have tossed him out since they were going on the bye, but he might be around in somebody's league.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to ask you, because I know you watch all the Lions games, and I didn't watch any of this game. What the heck happened with Philadelphia? We had Boston Scott last week, and we had Gainwell as 2 people that we thought that would do really well in this game. And we were half right.
And then they signed Howard like Tuesday. We record on Monday, and Howard is like an amazing back from Chicago days.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I was going to pick him up, but I just let sleeping dogs lie, and they actually used him quite a bit. So surprising he was sitting on their practice roster and not being active. Like, what was he just playing video games? Like,
well, he got 12 rushes for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Scott got 12 rushes for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and Gainwell did nothing as their hot rookie.
Gainwell gained 0.
1 point in my PPR league, 1.26 or something.
So, I mean, that was baffling, but I mean, what can you do, right? And I don't know going forward because they played the Lions and how bad they are. I don't know going forward. I thought I would ask you because you watched the game. What do you think then about the trio of Gainwell, Howard, and Scott with Sanders being on IR? Who of those guys do you like? Who's the most consistent guy, do you think?
Well, they were running through tackles with Boston and Howard. So that's all they were doing. They were getting multiple. They were getting like 9 yards a run. I think their average runs were pretty high up there. Really. It's pretty ridiculous. Super garbage game. So I would go with either the 2. I think like we talked about in last episode, Boston Scott has had touches and has played lots of key games and has played. And Howard is a veteran. He's 6 years into the league. He knows what he's doing too. They both don't fumble. So I think it's a gimme. You're going to get a running back from committee. You're going to get something from them. And the great thing is, or maybe not the great thing is, if you're a Jalen Hurts quarterback, is that he never moved. He stayed in the pocket. He wasn't running around. But maybe there was no pressure, so he wasn't needing to. That's the problem with the Detroit Lions. They have no pressure coming after the quarterback. So you're not getting any disturbing plays, or you're not getting any quick plays out.
Right.
Time you need to go through your progressions.
Well, let's move on from the running backs to receivers. The guy I think that I like the most coming up is Devonte Parker. He's come off IR. He's the wide receiver for the Dolphins. Waddle's been getting a lot of work. So is Gesicki, the tight end. But this weekend, he got 11 targets. He caught 8 of them for 85 yards. But 11 targets is a lot of targets. And if Tua is going to go to him that often, then I think he's worth considering.
Yeah, and Will Fuller comes off of IR this week too. So in week 9, he's activated as well too. So he's their big play guy.
I haven't seen him do anything with that team though. Like, I don't know what he's even like.
Yeah, but he's going to be an option. So, but yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe the best solution is to go and get Parker if he's not around. And all the other guys are taken up. Fuller is a name that has been thrown around in fantasy for years, getting big plays for Houston. He could be out there if you want to pick him up, but it's fantasy.
Yeah. Well, you could use your strategy. You could go and get Parker and Fuller and pick up Tua, and there's your double.
There's your threesome. There you go.
Okay, so another guy I noticed has been doing quite well is Jamison Crowder for the Jets.
A lot of Jets on this week.
Yeah, unexpectedly. But I mean, if they're going to play like this with this Mike White guy, then there's possibilities. There's guys on this roster that can actually make plays that might be available to you on your fantasy waiver wire. So Crowder had 8 catches for 84 yards. He got 9 targets. So that's a lot of work. If they're looking to him that often, he could have some value for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's some names on here I'm not sure about, but I think it'd be interesting to talk about them. One guy is for Dallas Cowboys, Cedric Wilson. He passes the eyeball test for me. He doesn't get a lot of targets, but they seem to put plays in the playbook for him, especially yesterday he threw a bomb to CeeDee Lamb. He also scored a touchdown receiving, and he's exciting. He's a good player. So, I mean, when Dak comes back, they'll be throwing the ball all over the place. And I think he's a guy to look at.
Yeah, I think he's super exciting as a playmaker. Was he number 1?
Yeah. Right?
He was number 1 in my heart for sure. Dallas, of any Dallas player.
Yeah, I was really impressed with him. He looks like a real talent. And I know there's a lot of talent on that team, but
sneaky good. They also got Cooper kind of like that way too, right? Like they were just like, sneaky good.
Yeah.
Good drafting. Good drafting on the Dallas Cowboys part.
Right.
Always looking for a wide receiver that can produce.
Right. Because Gallup, I think, is on IR for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so tonight,
Cooper.
Yeah. So tonight, Darius Slayton is active for the Giants, and I think all the receivers are mostly active and mostly injured for the Giants. So we'll see where that ball goes. But, Slayton is a guy I think is probably available that you pick up, and keep an eye on him tonight to see if he gets many targets.
Yep.
And then this last guy, I don't know, Calvin Ridley.
Taking a nap. Like he doesn't go to London and then he's out. Now, mind you, personal reasons could be very personal.
Right.
When is he coming back?
Right. But the deal is he's leaving a big hole there for guys to step up and make some plays. And I've seen Russell Gage in the past be a pretty darn good receiver. I'm not saying he's a number 1, but they've got the tight end Pitts there to distract the defense a little bit. And I feel like Russell Gage is somebody to keep your eye on while Ridley's out, and there's no timeline on him being out.
There's also another guy called Turjay Sharp. That's also a receiver as well too. Yet to be determined on his movement on the field or how he's going to play into the game. So, but Gage is up there, and same with another guy called Sharp. Sharp with an E. Sharpie, I guess we call him.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. And then
And don't forget the people that were on bye weeks. We were talking about last week about Bateman and also from the Ravens. And then there's also the Saints wide receiver Galloway that had an outstanding game yesterday as well, too. Also wearing number 1.
Callaway, right? Yeah, number 1. Okay, yeah,
So-
that's a
so
good
Quinn-
point. He played well,
Yeah.
and I think do they have Quinn, number 10?
Yes.
For the Saints, he caught a touchdown, I think, too. So yeah, good point. Keep your eye on those 2 receivers. Although I don't know what Taysom Hill's going to do.
Right. We're just talking about they're going to run a 3 running backfield wildcat.
Right.
Is any of these receivers going to see the ball?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to find out, though.
Jet sweep.
Yeah. Okay, so for tight ends, there's just 3 on the list this week. Jacksonville's not a very good team or a very good offense, but they did trade to get Dan Arnold. We've had him on the list before. Yesterday, he got 8 catches for 68 yards. So I think that they're looking to him to be a playmaker. If you're desperate for tight ends, as people often are, that could be a guy that could help you out this week with your bye situation. Pat Friarmuth is a rookie. His name's really fun to say. People have been having fun with that one. And he had 4 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown, but he had 7 targets, and he really stepped up for the Steelers. They're starting to find their way a little bit, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying, take a look. There's a lot of banged up receivers on that team. So we've got Friarmuth as another guy to look at for tight end.
They're not throwing the ball to Ebron. He has bricks for hands. He's had bricks ever since he entered the league. So I think the only time he ever did well was when he played for Indianapolis and he had Peyton Manning throwing him the ball.
Right. Last week or the week before, I think they did an end around and they handed the ball off to Ebron and he got a touchdown, but it was like a 1-yard touchdown run. And it seemed like it was a play that they put in there just for him to get him involved in some way.
Give the guy a lollipop.
We've talked about Tyler Conklin from the Vikings before.
He did well this week, yesterday. Yeah, he was catching footballs out there.
Yep. 7 targets, which is a lot for a tight end. Caught 5 of them for 57 yards. And sometimes down by the goal line, they like to go to him. So have a look at him if you're needing tight end help.
Minnesota's offense, though, is just the team. It's like they come out and then they're rad, and then they come out and then they're sad, and then they just sad.
You know, a lot of people like to blame the quarterback, Kirk Cousins, in years gone by. But this year, like yesterday, he didn't have a turnover. He wasn't throwing interceptions. Justin Jefferson just couldn't get open. Thielen had the 1 touchdown, and then he didn't do much after that. I've got Dalvin Cook as my running back, and I kept waiting for something to happen, and nothing ever did.
So anyway, it's weird because they should be putting more points up, and then they're not, and maybe the play calling's a little bit iffy. And I don't know, it's interesting, but they're doing well. And then they're playing mediocre. They're kind of like just playing like 500 football. I don't know what the record is, maybe around 500, but they're definitely playing subpar to what they could be playing.
Yeah, I think they're 3-5, and they very easily could be 5-3 at least. They lose close games, and they usually lose on a kick.
Yeah. Well, then they want to get on a kick with Detroit. That could have been a loss too. So they could be even crappier than what we're talking about. So
yeah. Also, Cincinnati, they lost on a kick. Their kicker missed against Cincinnati, and Cincinnati won.
Yeah.
So that's a hard luck team, the Vikings.
Well, is there any defenses that we need to talk about? Because I kind of got a strategy to play.
Okay, let me hear what you got.
Just pick who's ever playing against Houston. So this week, if you need a defense, pick Miami.
Right. Well, that's something that we used to say about the Jets, and then they lit up the Bengals last week.
Yeah, but I think Houston's a little bit different. So That's what I'm saying. Is like, if you need a defense this week, try picking up the Dolphins because they are playing Houston.
Okay, well, stay tuned. Keep watching and see what happens.
Yeah, exciting week 9. I'm excited about it.
Okay.
Tough if you're 4-4 at this moment. That's the sweatiest position to be to get into that playoff rank, or even if you're lower. But hey, sometimes you get good runs. Sometimes if you listen to good advice,
Yeah,
pick up the right people, pay attention to who's playing and who's not playing, or who they're playing against, and you will come up a winner.
I'm at 6-2 right now, first place in my league. And where are you at? Did you win this week?
Probably. I got like 50 points, and the person has Williams for KC as a running back. So unless Williams scores 60 points,
Okay.
I'm not going to say I won.
Right, but it's looking good.
Everything is looking good.
Okay, good. Well, good luck. Hope you win.
Yep, you too. And we'll chat next week.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for watching the Fantasy Football Game Plan podcast. Need coaching on your lineup? Drop us a line and we'll discuss your dilemma.